first place, he's famous for his idiosyncrasies, but he is also was the most powerful guy in the country for a long time. Gene I'd known for many years, but we'd never worked together, and he was in a mood at that time. He says, "I don't want to do any more violent pictures," but so he did. He reread it and he came back and said, "Yeah, okay, I'll do this."
Clint Eastwood, a man of legendary strength and stoicism, doesn't need to shout or call people out. For decades, he's handled betrayal and disrespect with devastating quiet. Behind closed doors, he ensures some people never get a second chance. It's Hollywood's most ruthless power move. Keep watching to discover the 5 industry giants who faced his silent wrath. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now, back to the video. Number 1, Michael Moore. In 2005, at the National Board of Review Awards, Clint Eastwood stood on stage in front of a room filled with Hollywood elite. To those watching, his acceptance speech might have seemed routine. But when he turned to Michael Moore and said, "Michael, if you ever show up at my front door with a camera, I'll kill you," the moment became anything but ordinary. The room burst into nervous laughter, unsure how much was joke and how much was warning. For Eastwood, it felt like a line had already been crossed. That line was Fahrenheit 9/11, Michael Moore's highly controversial documentary criticizing the Bush administration. Eastwood, a man with a deep-seated respect for traditional American values, saw Moore's work as more than just provocative. It was, in his eyes, unpatriotic. Privately, Eastwood expressed that Moore's film didn't just question leadership, but undermine the principles Eastwood had spent his life defending on and off the screen. What began as political opposition quickly became personal. Eastwood's disapproval didn't stop at a public jab. Over time, it became clear that Moore had earned himself more than a punchline. He'd been cut off entirely. Offers for collaboration, any professional acknowledgement, even casual public respect, vanished. Eastwood didn't escalate this feud further. It wasn't his style. Instead, his silence toward Moore spoke volumes, signaling that respect was something earned and easily lost. The next person on his list found themselves in similar trouble after crossing Eastwood's vision of historical truth. Number 2, Spike Lee. When Clint Eastwood released Flags of Our Fathers and Letters from Iwo Jima, many praised his ambitious attempt to explore war from 2 contrasting perspectives. But not everyone shared the applause. Spike Lee, never one to shy away from controversy, openly criticized Eastwood for the lack of Black Marines depicted in Flags of Our Fathers. Calling out the historical inaccuracy, Lee argued that Black soldiers played a crucial role in Iwo Jima, and their omission reflected a larger issue of underrepresentation in Hollywood storytelling. It was a criticism Eastwood didn't take lightly. For Eastwood, this wasn't just about creative choices. It struck at the heart of his authority as a filmmaker. Known for his commitment to realism and a meticulous approach to his craft, he defended his decision by stating, "I'm not going to do history revisionism just because somebody else wants it." To Eastwood, the story he told reflected his vision and what he believed was faithful to the realities of war. For Lee, this response only underscored a bigger, systemic problem in the industry. Both men were stubborn, unwilling to yield, and the feud spiraled into a very public clash. The fallout was swift and definitive. Eastwood never addressed Spike Lee directly again, choosing to let silence speak for him. By the time the dust settled, it was clear any potential for collaboration had evaporated. The rift exposed just how fiercely Eastwood guarded his creative autonomy. What happened next involved another industry titan, this time a clash of acting styles that caused lasting friction. Number 3, Leonardo DiCaprio. When Clint Eastwood and Leonardo DiCaprio teamed up for J. Edgar in 2011, it was a meeting of 2 cinematic powerhouses, but also 2 very different philosophies. Eastwood, known for his speed and efficiency, kept the atmosphere on set stripped down and focused. His preference for minimal takes and quick setups had earned him a reputation for running some of the smoothest productions in the industry. DiCaprio, however, approached his craft from an entirely different angle. A method actor through and through, he dived deeply into the emotional layers of J. Edgar Hoover, experimenting with multiple takes to nail the most subtle nuances of his performance. From the outset, it was clear their styles weren't going to mesh. Crew members took notice of what one insider described as a quiet storm on set. While there were no public arguments or dramatic outbursts, the tension was palpable. Eastwood, decisive and pragmatic, often moved on after just 1 or 2 takes, while DiCaprio reportedly found the pace restrictive and creatively stifling. To DiCaprio, those extra takes were vital for digging into the character's complexities. To Eastwood, they came across as inefficient and unnecessary. The unspoken friction cast a shadow over their collaboration, creating an awkward energy that neither could ignore. After J. Edgar, the silence between the two was deafening. Unlike actors Eastwood frequently praised and recast, DiCaprio became someone he never mentioned again. Their time together had underscored one thing: Eastwood valued harmony, and when that was missing, so were future opportunities. Number 4, Seth Rogen. In 2014, Seth Rogen lit a match that sparked an unexpected fallout with Clint Eastwood. Shortly after the release of American Sniper, Rogen took to Twitter, comparing the film to a propaganda segment in Tarantino's *Inglourious Basterds*, where a Nazi sniper is celebrated for killing Allied soldiers. Though Rogen didn't name Eastwood directly, the implication hit hard. To Eastwood, this wasn't just a misguided joke. It was a direct insult to a project built on honoring real-life heroism and military sacrifice. For a man with unwavering respect for veterans, the comparison cut deeper than most public critiques. Eastwood never fired back publicly. There were no scathing interviews or fiery rebuttals. Instead, his reaction came in his signature manner: silence, paired with a quiet yet deliberate severing of ties. Those close to Eastwood described him as deeply offended, interpreting Rogen's comment as a careless, disrespectful dismissal of the values that shaped both the film and its subject. Navy SEAL Chris Kyle. For Eastwood, some lines weren't meant to be crossed, and Rogen's tweet had done just that. What Rogen may not have realized at the time is that his words carried lasting consequences. Eastwood's form of retaliation came through what many have described as a silent blacklist. Without making a single public statement, he ensured Rogen was never considered for professional opportunities within his sphere. In Hollywood, this quiet but resolute erasure is a power move fewer and fewer wield. Up next, a clash with a co-star on one of Eastwood's most celebrated sets. Number 5, Gene Hackman. In 1992, Clint Eastwood brought Gene Hackman onto the set of Unforgiven, a project destined to become one of the most celebrated westerns in film history. On the surface, their collaboration appeared seamless. Both would go on to win Oscars for the film, and it redefined the genre in a way that cemented its legacy. But behind the camera, their working relationship carried a quiet, underlying tension that would ensure they never worked together again. Eastwood, known for his calm leadership and disciplined sets, valued an unspoken trust among his collaborators. Actors followed his lead without challenge. Hackman, however, had built his own legendary career on being unpredictable and fiercely independent. Their contrasting styles became clear from the start. Hackman, never shy about voicing his opinions, often pushed back against Eastwood's direction. One exchange during a key scene exemplified this divide. Hackman, dissatisfied with a line, stopped mid-take and declared, "That line doesn't work, I'm not saying it." Eastwood, unflinching, simply replied, "You will?" The moment captured Eastwood's unyielding grip on his vision, but it also revealed the growing friction between the two. Though the tension never erupted into public arguments, it lingered in their silences and professional distance. After Unforgiven, Eastwood moved on, never publicly acknowledging Hackman as a favorite collaborator or inviting him back for future projects. For Eastwood, the lack of trust and harmony was enough to quietly sever ties, a signature trait of his unrivaled Hollywood influence. Clint Eastwood has proven that power in Hollywood isn't always loud. While others have relied on publicized feuds or dramatic takedowns, Eastwood's approach has been rooted in quiet, decisive actions. Those who crossed him, whether through disrespect, creative clashes, or personal insults, didn't face fiery public confrontations. Instead, they faced complete erasure. This silent strategy cemented his influence. By choosing exclusion over spectacle, Eastwood built a legacy not just on his films, but on his resolute principles. So, what do you think? Can silence be the most powerful tool in Hollywood? Let us know in the comments. You might just start a fiery debate.